Hi, my name is Sammy, and today I'll be making a sponge cake recipe from the Central Presbyterian Church cookbook, first published in 1900. We found this recipe in Food on the Frontier by Marjorie Kreidberg.
The Encyclopedia Britannica describes sponge cakes as an example of an unshortened mixture depending largely upon incorporated air for leavening. The eggs are whisked sufficiently to produce a light product.
The ingredients for this cake are as follows: 3 eggs separated into whites and yolks, 1 cup of sugar, 1 lemon, and from that we'll need zest, a little bit, we did about a teaspoon, and a spoonful of lemon juice, 1 cup of flour, and a 1/4 cup of boiling water. And for this, I'll only be using a fork. So here I am whisking the egg yolks. Then adding the sugar and creaming those together. Then the lemon juice and lemon zest. Then the boiling water. Stirring some more. And then I'll whisk the egg whites to a stiff froth. I wasn't quite sure what that meant, so I used my best judgment.
In 1615, Gervase Markham, an English poet and author, recorded the earliest sponge cake recipe in English. These sponge cakes were crisp and more cookie-like. By the middle of the 18th century, yeast had fallen into disuse as a raising agent in favor of beaten eggs. The batter was poured into molds that were sometimes quite elaborate. These cake hoops are what modern cake pans were developed from.
Right about now, I wish I had a whisk. Then I put the egg whites into the rest of the batter and then added the flour. Poured it into a greased loaf pan. And then we'll be baking this in a moderate oven, which is anywhere from 350 to 400 degrees, according to our research. And there we have our cake. Okay, so the cake is all baked now. When I was cutting into it, I noticed that there was sort of a streak through almost the top of it that appeared to be undercooked, but on further inspection, I actually think it's some of the sugar that wasn't fully incorporated, and it might have melted as it was cooking and made kind of a wet looking line. Not really sure why that happened, so if you're a baker out there, love to know if you think there's a reason why the sugar wasn't incorporating, because I had a few times where when I was making it that I had to keep stirring the sugar in. It was settling on the bottom. But either way, I'll give it a try and see how it tastes. So it is pretty sweet. It actually is pretty spongy and kind of light, so all of my egg whipping worked pretty well. But yeah, I think it actually tastes pretty good. It's interesting that this was done without any leaveners. So no baking soda or baking powder, it's just all eggs and the air that was incorporated to help it rise. But I think it's pretty good, and if I was living in 1900, I would probably enjoy it even more than I am now. But it was pretty fun to make it. I actually thought it was gonna be a lot harder because I had not done a lot of mixing only with a fork when I've done baking. So I was a little nervous, but it actually wasn't too bad. I hope you liked this video today, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.